Hi. I'm laughing at myself already. Um, I'm going to talk about the gate six and locational astrology and human design. Um, the gate six is part of that 59-6 channel of mating, of intimacy. Some of its keynotes are conflict, friction, sexual and emotional discrimination. I think that's a really important one. The six actually is the mother of all the waves. It fuses them all. It has feelings, mood, sensitivity. Those are the three waves. And it also carries a fear of intimacy and a nervousness about being open to others. I'm 59-6. I have the six, obviously. What I notice mostly about the six is that it's about boundaries. And I have seen with people that I know who have only the six, and I'm a 59-6, so I compromise them, that I can actually be the person that transgresses their boundaries. And I do it because it's what the 59-6 does. It's like we just go in, we bust through auras, right? And I really like it when people have good boundaries because I feel safe with them. So if someone says no to me, then I'm like, cool, good. So what would happen if you have your sun in your personality? I think it could highlight relationships, but also highlight how you do your boundaries, how that comes forth for you, what conflict arises if you do or don't set good boundaries, what friction can lead to. If it's in your design, you're going to want to watch yourself and watch how your body says no or yes, no or yes, and watch it coming out of your body. In the earth, there will be some grounding there. You'll ground yourself by maintaining good boundaries. You'll ground yourself in the way of having good relationships. Again, if it's in your personality, it's going to be more obvious because it's conscious. And if it's in your body, notice that feeling of grounding when you say no, and it's a no. And I think that's especially important for you open emotional people out there who have the six, because you want to avoid conflict, you want to avoid all that friction. Don't do it. It's not going to help you. It really, really won't. People, I'm obviously emotional, and people who try and placate me when I'm having a down wave, like, it's okay. It actually strengthens in me because it's bullshit, and I don't tolerate bullshit, especially on a down wave. Just saying. Mercury might very well like to talk about boundaries and relationship and its fear of conflict and how it does it in the personality and in the voice. It'll be interesting for any of you who have Mercury in the six in your design, because that's your voice. Like, what changes? Is there a quality of intimacy and pulling in when it's a correct yes for you to get closer with someone? And does something happen in your voice that's actually creating that boundary, whether you know it or not? With Venus, you're going to deal with some standards. Like, what standards do you have in terms of your relationships, and who you let in close to you and who you say no to? What are those standards? What are those values? And how are you living them? And in this place, will it be enhanced? Will you be able to see that highlighted? In the body, it's your complexion. So if you're, I would, take a look again, creating boundaries, like if someone's coming at you and you don't want them, do you flush? Do you get pale? Notice what goes on for you in that complexion. What's Mars? Mars is so great. It's in the personality, it's mutative. How will your relationships and your connection to other people mutate under that Mars line in your personality? And what will you see if it's in your body? Like what heat will come into those relationships? Conflict is heat in a sense. That's a heated thing. So you might find if you have Mars in your body in a certain location that you have some heat in your relationships. That can also be really sexy, right? That's hot. Uh-huh. And how is that mutative or not? Jupiter in Jupiter in the aura in the body, it's like, how does your aura hold people away? How does your aura let people in? And how natural is that for you to be true to yourself in that way? And again, on the body side, if you have a resonance, a color resonance with your PHS, your Sun Earth, with any of these, those things are going to be extra important, right? Jupiter on the personality side. Hold on, I have to have a sip of coffee. That's rules. What are your rules? What are your internal rules around relationship? What's important to you? How do you navigate when people want something from you that you don't want to offer? How do you navigate when no one wants something and you have it? What rules have you created in that Jupiter? And of course, you want to look at the line. If you're me, you're going to look at the color, and see how all that's playing out in relationship to other things in your chart. What do we have next is Saturn. On the personality side, Saturn is the constraint. Saturn says, you got to do it this way. And in astrology, when I was an astrologer, I thought of Saturn as foundation. Saturn says, yeah, you want to build a strong foundation first. So it constrains you. It's like my little book, Liberation Through Limitation. You can only be you. You can try to be something else. It doesn't go very well, as far as I can tell. But how does Saturn actually support you being you with the limitations of who you are? Because it will, and it'll do that because it won't punish you, because you're not going against your own rules, you're not going against your own values, right? So holding that line of constraint, and that's in the personality. And again, you can look at that, you can see what color resonates to your motivation, and that may be a big player in how you maintain connection to your motivation rather than going into transference. Over on the design side, Saturn is exhale. You're putting your neutrinos out into the world. How do you see the world responding to you in places? When you out breath, that's you going into the world. So I'd take a look around and see what how people respond to you, and you might get a lot of really good feedback in that arena regarding relationship, regarding boundaries, and all of that. Uranus on the design side, it's movement. I have this connected to my PHS. Movement is so important to me. How does your body move in this place? um, in terms of moving toward people, moving away from people, literally. Like, you know, there are days I go out and walk around the city all day, most days, and I move toward people, you know. It could be as simple as I'm in a store and I want directions to get something, but I'm 59.6, so I'll just bust a little through someone's aura to create that second of contact, that little laugh with someone, that little tiny flirt. Um, and how does my movement into their space operate in that way? Um, on the personality side, sorry, something just happened on the computer and I got sidetracked for a second. On the personality side, Uranus, forgive me, I just have to look at what just happened. Okay, I'm back. Uranus is the sidetrack. And it's cool because, in a sense, the sidetrack can be your whole life, right? It became my life. I got sidetracked with human design when I first heard Ra's voice, and it went, that's where you're going. I didn't know it at the time. I just kept listening to Ra. So, when you are living your life as a mutated, individuated, differentiated being, that sidetrack could lead you right to you, in a sense. And so when you go to a place where you have Uranus in the sixth gate, what relationships, what intimacies or not will take you on a track that leads you to you. And that's a personality. Movement is the body. Neptune, in the personality, this is misinformation. I would take note. You might notice misinformation coming at you in a place, where you have that six, and be called to create good boundaries around that. You might notice what misinformation may have come at you. It may come out. Hydration is on the design side. So, who in your life that you let in helps you stay hydrated, or, dehydrate you, deplete you in that way. Again, the boundaries are gonna create all of this. Pluto's the truth. It's the inhalation. I've been practicing walking around and breathing in truth, breathing it into my belly. What is the truth of your boundaries? What is the truth of your relationships? What is the truth of your relationship to yourself and how you maintain yourself? And how do you breathe that in? And does it go deeper when you're in a place where you have Pluto? And then Chiron, Chiron deals with wounding. It deals with a wound that often happens in childhood. And especially at Chiron turn, you have the opportunity to embrace that wound and make it something that you use for healing for yourself and even others. Especially, I would say, for others, your Chiron, where it is in your personality. So there could be wounding in the sixth gate. Could be that you were abused. People just overrode your boundaries. And how has that promoted a way of being your whole life? And under that Chiron line, do you get to look at that and make some new decisions about how you do that? And it can be personality abuse and body abuse, with two different things, really. Someone hits you or sexually abuses your body is different from someone, when you're never listened to and you're never honored for who you really are. So there we have gate 6. And I'm just going to say I love you.